What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Knicks Cave. I'm Jan, the Knicks fan, your host, and let's get right into it. But before we get into it, I want y'all to do me one small favor. If y'all haven't already, to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment. You want to know when the next video going to drop? Hit that notification bell. All right, y'all. With that being said, let's get right into the video. I know a lot of you, if some of y'all are frequent watchers, y'all gonna think I'm gonna talk about the starting unit and how he overused them and how they died out in the playoffs. No, but I will be talking about the starting unit because that plays a big part of why the Knicks are sitting where they at in free agency. But I'm not going to forget Tom Tibido because y'all seen the thumbnail. The thumbnail is Tom Tibido screwed the New York Knicks in free agency, and he did. And because every move that the management have made has been around Tom Thibodeau. All right. And with that being said, let's get into the 5 reasons why Tom Thibodeau screwed the New York Knicks in free agency. All right, let's just do that real quick. We're going to talk about the heavy reliance on starters, the veteran preference over development. Roster construction reflects his identity. A lot of people want to talk about the bench and everything and how the Knicks didn't make the right moves, but this team was constructed to fit Tom Thibodeau's identity. So every player that was on this roster was somebody Tom Thibodeau gave the thumbs up, probably wanted the team to go after. All right? Never forget that. So when I said that Tom Tibido screwed the New York Knicks, he screwed the New York Knicks. Y'all could talk about the 4 appearances in the playoffs, the Eastern Conference Final after 25 years. It is all good gravy on top of biscuits. I love that. But now look where the New York Knicks are at. The best thing about where we at is that we have players that can compete. We are not in the position that we was 15, 20 years ago, where we had to suffer with names like Lance Thomas, players like that. We are in a good place right now. Some would say, well, you can thank Tom Thibodeau for that. And you could. But we're going to have to think about this roster. We got to think about this roster in full and think about what moves and how limited that the New York Knicks are now that we went out and pleased our super coach, the coach of the year, Tom Tibido, the Duke of Defense. Yes, the Duke of Defense. And when y'all see that pressure on management, all that come from is all the Tom Thibodeau supporters, all the people in the media that thought Tom Thibodeau was the best thing since sliced bread. But with that being said, let's get right into this video. I know I always seem like I'm the mad rapper. You know what I'm saying? Gotta slow down just a little bit. But I want a championship on this team. And don't it seems because it's almost like a double-edged sword when I swing what I'm about to swing and say what I'm about to say. Because Tom Thibodeau did get us to the playoffs. But I like to think, and I honestly believe that it's because of the roster. And then again, y'all can say it's what you get. Thank Tom Thibodeau for the roster. But we have to thank Tom Thibodeau for how limited we are right now in free agency. Now let's get right to number 1, the heavy reliance on starters. We all know Tom Thibodeau is a guy that heavily, or people might say notorious for playing starters, massive minutes, and what that do is create a dynamic where starters rack up big stats, points, rebounds, assists. And what do this do? It gives the perceived value skyrocket, especially during contract years. And like I said in number 4, what does that do? It put pressure on the front office. The front office feel pressure to reward production, even if it's inflated by uses. And what I mean by that, if you out there giving these guys 39, 40 minutes a game, and they're the ones shooting all the ball, they're going to have the most points. They're going to have the most rebounds. They're going to have the most assists. So this is what I mean by inflated stats. I've been saying that all along. This happened with Julius Randle. This happened with R.J. Barrett. And to a certain extent, OG Anunoby. And we're going to get to that in a minute. At the end of the video, we're going to talk about OG Anunoby as the trade and how everything went down and exactly how he got overpaid. Let's just be real. All right? Let's just be real. Number 2 on this list is the veteran preference over development. And we see that with all the young guys. And I put these two guys up here, not for really comparison, but if you look at what Tyler Collect averaged for this year, you don't think he could have averaged more points? His percentage could have been better than 20 something. I mean, 3-point shooting. He shot and he played much better than this in college. But if you only get 41 games, and it's really not even 41 games, because if you break down the minutes, he probably played 5 games. If you add all the minutes up that Tyler Collect got, that our young rookies got, it comes up to 5 games. And we all know Tibbs historically favored veterans over developing young talent. And that means our young, our cheap players, they don't get enough minutes to grow. The teams become too reliant on the high price proven players with the overflated stats. And once again, we go back to number 4. Management is forced to overpay and to maintain continuity to appease the coach win now mindset. And this was evident in the limited role for Obi Toppin. And some of y'all are going to disagree with me, but even with Emmanuel Toppin before the trade and Quentin Grimes. And Quentin Grimes is about to get a nice check. Not so big that if we had kept him, we could not have afforded him. It all goes to by building a team that fits Tom Thibodeau identity. And that is what we're going to talk about next. The roster that constructs and reflects his identity. This is the ways that he screwed our team, because we went out and got the players that Tom Thibodeau want. Tibbs teams are built around defense, toughness, grits, and that's cool. But what does it often lead to? By the Knicks or teams acquiring players with overlapping skills. And if you don't believe me, look at Hart, look at Anunoby, look at Bridges. I know they're different, but they basically do the same thing at certain time. And then what does this do? We go back to number 4, paying a premium for Tibbs guys who may not be versatile, even scalable enough in other systems. Like, they probably wouldn't even fit systems. If Anunoby was that good, Toronto wouldn't have been willing to give him up. Back to pressure. It comes down to a top-heavy payroll with little flexibility, and that's where we at right now in free agency. The Knicks have 5, maybe 4 players. We may say 5 players that's almost making over $20 million for next season. And they're over the first apron with limited tools to improve this roster. So when I started off, I should have started by people talking about we can go out and get Jaren Jackson Jr. or we can get this guy or that guy. The Knicks are going to be limited to the bottom barrel of free agents. And I ain't saying that that's bad, because there are some good guys out there that we can go and add to this roster. But you have to think about this. Will they be willing to accept the money that the New York Knicks have? Because the Knicks have about $14 million, maybe, you know what I'm saying, with the departure of our 4 free agents. And that $14 million doesn't mean that we can spend $14 million. I'm not going to get into the math and the numbers of it, because this is a video about how Tom Thibodeau screwed us in free agency. Maybe I should get into the numbers, but I didn't prepare for that. But at the same time, y'all have to understand that this man, as great as everybody would want y'all to believe, the damage that he did to this team will be seen in 2 to 3 years from now. Because you have to think about, these are Tom Thibodeau guys. We're getting a new coach. What if these guys don't fit the system? So when a new coach come in, they have to cater around to what Tibbs already had in place. No, I ain't talking about the heavy minutes, but who knows? I'm wrong. Maybe like some of these guys was not happy with Tom Thibodeau's system, and these are basketball players, been playing since grade school, so they are used to adjusting to different playbooks. But at the same time, will they be as effective in another coach scheme or system? We would never know. These are Tom Thibodeau guys, y'all. That's just what I'm saying. These are Tom Thibodeau guys. All right, so let's get to number 4, and that's pressure on management. Leon Rose, Worldwide West, they get a lot of blame for constructing this team, but they put this team together with Tom Thibodeau in mind. After, like I just mentioned, the playoff appearances, the Eastern Conference Final, we leave that out right now because Tom Thibodeau probably figured that getting to the Eastern Conference Final would give him some type of leverage. But making the playoffs multiple times, especially 4 times in 5 years, did kind of influence the management to go out and kind of build a team around what Tibbs want. And And that's evident when you see Bridges and you see Towns, which gutted the capital on gutted draft capital and ballooned his payroll. And then let's not forget that Tom Tibido was walking away with $30 million, an extension he received in 2024, which the Knicks now owe him after firing him. Because we was in a win now mandate. And what that did was discourage long-term planning. And that's what I said earlier in the video, that the Knicks is kind of falling back into where we was 20 years ago. And I'm not saying that the roster is the roster. This roster will make the playoffs next season, and it will make the playoffs the following season. Most of that depends on the new coach and what system he runs, but we have the players, and I know y'all gonna say, well, we can thank Tom Tibido for that. But we will not be able to go out and get players that will be able to make this team any better than what it is right now. So are the Knicks stuck to where they at right now? Are Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns? Well, like I said in my last video, Leon Rose do work some magic on draft night, so we don't know what might happen. We don't know who's going to be here. But if we look at free agency and what the New York Knicks can do right now, judging on, and that brings us to number 5. That brings us to number 5. You hear me? Number 5, judging on the way this payroll look. If you look at the New York Knicks payroll, man, look at this payroll. The Knicks are $230.5 million in total payroll. And now we have little room to maneuver. We are $3.8 million over the first apron and just $8 million below the second. What does that do? It limits us in trade and free agent options. And the Mikal Bridges, the lack of draft assets, and oh man, cap flexibility. All this is due to making decisions that largely support Tom Thibodeau's vision. That's it, man. Like, this team was built for Tom Thibodeau. This was a Tom Thibodeau team built. And y'all want to talk about the success we have? Yes, we know Tom Thibodeau. In short, his coaching style will be effective. In short term, it created a feedback loop where starters are overused, overvalued, and ultimately overpaid. That, combined with the influence on our roster decisions, has left this Knicks team with a bloated cap sheet and limited flexibility. And now the New York Knicks is going to have to work to get some rotational players in this organization that can help Jalen Brunson. I don't know if we're gonna move. Excuse me, right there. I don't know if we're gonna move Karl-Anthony Towns or not. But what I do know is that with the management catering to Tom Thibodeau and getting his guys and overpaying paying these guys, because yes, some of these guys are overpaid. And I said I was going to talk about Anunoby, so I got to talk about Anunoby. If you look at Anunoby and how much he's making, the amount of money Anunoby is making, I don't think, I'm gonna be real, I don't think Anunoby is worth $39.6 million per year. You got Karl-Anthony Towns, a different story, because we didn't give him that $53 million. But with Jalen Brunson, $34.9 million a year. And some of y'all gonna say, oh, he's worth it. I don't know, man. I'm gonna be real. And you gotta think about this. Had he not taken a pay cut, it would have been more than $34 million. And the reason I said we got 5 players that's making $20 million, because Josh Hart is making $19.5 million per year. That's damn near $20 million. Because Bridges is making $24 million. We didn't give Bridges at $24 million. But we're gonna have to pay him to keep him. These are all Tom Thibodeau guys. Who knows? Josh Hart might be one of them guys that get shipped out for a sweeter deal. I don't know. Or maybe Miles McBride and Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is making $12.9 million this year. McBride 4.33 million. PJ Tucker is gone, and that was a club option. We got Dottie, $2.8 million this year. Tyler Corlett, $2.1 million. Arrow Hooker, $41.9 million. And these are guys that are going to be here for at least 1 or 2 more years. And now when the season starts, this is going to be their rookie season. They're going to be having to learn the pace of the NBA in their second year of being in the NBA. And that's all due to Tom Thibodeau and Ep to develop young talent. Um, so I know a lot of y'all are happy with what Tom Thibodeau did for this team. I'm I'm okay with it because I felt with the roster and the way Leon Rose was building this team that we would have got to the playoffs whether we had him as a coach or not. But you're gonna have to look at what the damage he done to this team. You know what I'm saying? Towns already had surgery. Hopefully he'll be ready for next season. That might deter any teams not to trade for him if Leon Rose put him on the chopping block. I mean, y'all don't want to admit it, but he screwed this team. He screwed this team whether y'all want to admit it or not. But with that being said, I want everybody to stay safe, stay healthy. God bless and peace.